lovely good morning to you, our viewers. Welcome to another exciting edition of the Camnet TV Breakfast Show. Of course, being a Tuesday, we always look at the community aspect, what's trending in our communities, what things are happening there. I am your host, Miriam Kaimba, and in studio, I am not alone. I am joined by my lovely, beautiful lady, Zipporah Mshaya. Good morning.
Good morning, Miriam. How are you doing?
I'm good. I'm happy. I'm blessed.
Happy. Happy birthday to you, actually.
Thank you so
How
much.
How are you turning 21?
Zipporah, really?
Happy 21st birthday to Miriam. She looks 21 anyway. She's ageless right now.
Thank you so much, Zipporah. How is your morning so far?
It's all right. Today it's not as cold as yesterday, so it's definitely all right. And we have a number of interesting topics for our viewers, and at 7:30 we're going to open our phone lines where we give you, our viewers, a chance to actually tell us what is happening in your community around the country. So you can call in at 7:30 and tell us what issues you'd like to bring to the attention of policymakers. And at 8 hours we're going to be joined by Iteshteji Member of Parliament, Mr. Mutinta Twambo, who's going to help us discuss the failed parliamentary motion to loosen CDF guidelines. So this means CDF is going to be as difficult as it was to access as before, because majority of MPs actually voted against loosening the guidelines. What was the rationale behind that, and what is the way forward now that we have failed to amend the guidelines? So those are the interesting topics that we have for you. But before we start our day, we're just going to have a little exercise so to get our bodies in the mood for the day. So let's just have the morning boost.
Good morning and welcome to our morning breakfast, and this is the Morning Boost, and I am your presenter, Isaac Matsa. I am here so that we can be able to do a warm-up exercise together just before you go about your day. All right, as usual, we are going to start with a warm-up. There we go, warm-up. 1 minute warm-up. After that, we'll be able to do some mountain climbers. Just that. For a minute. Let's go. How was your night? Say something so that we know where you're watching us from. If you're watching via Facebook, let's go. By the way, this is what I'm doing. See that? That's the workout all together. You're going to feel your calves actually. You're going to feel your legs. 1 minute warm up. Let's go. And let's change to the warm up. That trotting. Go. 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 Down with the warm up. Getting into a wake up now. Let's go. Faster. Faster. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. All right. That's it. Today, we're going to do something different. Let's do this now. Go down. Lay flat. It's a 3-minute workout. Bring in your leg out, in, out, okay? In, out, out. That's the workout you're going to do now. So you come here, go down, body posture like that. Let's go. 1, 2. Let's work on the tummy. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That's your first 10. So I'm going to do another 10. Let's go. Same thing. Down, straight up, go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, If you're doing it correctly, you're gonna feel your arms. 10. Okay, so that's 20. I have 2 more sets. Remember, just 5 minutes every morning. That's all you need. Okay, 3rd set, let's go. 1, 2, 3. You should feel your arms. 4, and the belly. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, so that's my 3rd set. I'm gonna do the 4th one now. So that's gonna be 40. So I'm working on the tummy, also strengthening my arms. Let's go, last 10. Let's go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 40. So I've worked on my triceps and biceps, burning fat on the arms and the tummy as well. Okay, so the same workout. This time I'm gonna do it faster. Remember, it's a 3 minutes workout. Okay, so I'm good. 1 minute now. Let's go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. All right, let's cool down. So try that. After you come back home, try to do those workouts. And they're going to work out for you perfectly. So this is very good for you every time you do that. So let's do now a cooling down now. Easy. Easy. You've done the workout already. Easy. Thank you so much. This is Isaac Matsa, and I'm going to see you again. Stay blessed and stay fit. Thank you.
So that was our morning boost. I hope you sure enjoyed it, because I did, although it was very exhausting. Did the birthday girl get to join? I'm wondering, because she still looks fresh. Miriam, did you join in the...
Well, I did not join for today, but in the morning I did wake up, Zipporah. Before I came on the show, I did try to do 1 or 2 exercises just to keep fit. Yeah. But today on the show, no.
Because it's your birthday.
Yeah.
And that's one thing with that, you know, most Gambians, you know that most Gambians don't exercise.
No.
And that's why people grow old fast. You find that someone is 40 and they're there complaining of X and that and that. So people grow old fast.
I think we have just not tried to adopt the culture of waking up every day in the morning to exercise. We think, okay, why should we do that?
When someone is 40, they already look old. So it's really a bad thing. You have to be exercising.
But you know what? If you use, is that Shantumbu Road? The lie somewhere there? Ring Road. Yeah. Yes. You'll find old people now trying to, you know, do some exercise. Yes. And it's a very, very good thing that people are now doing. You know, they've realized that it's very important that you exercise in the morning each and every day. Of course, maybe due to your busy schedule at work, you might not try to exercise every single day in the morning. But anyway, hey, try to do that maybe twice in a week. It's very good for your body. Yeah.
Yes, definitely. So I'm just now going to have Dr. Songiwe Chuluba join us on the set, and she's going to be talking about triggers, signs, and symptoms of sickle cell anemia. And we began this topic yesterday. And just a reminder to our viewers, as always, that you can always come and sponsor the health segment and the money market and get visibility for your brand. So let's just have Dr. Songiwe Chuluba join us on set.
morning. My name is Songiwe Chuluba from the Medical Women Association of Zambia, and we continue our topic for this week. Remember, our topic is sickle cell disease, and today we'll be looking at the signs and symptoms of sickle cell disease as well as the triggers of the disease. So signs and symptoms of sickle cell disease can be divided into the acute symptoms. These are the symptoms that usually take the patient to the hospital, as well as the chronic conditions that are usually seen throughout the patient's life. Okay, so remember, we're talking about sickle cell disease, which is, like we said from our last episode, it is an inherited disease that affects the red blood cells. It affects the hemoglobin that is found in the red blood cells, leading to production of an abnormal hemoglobin molecule. And this abnormal hemoglobin molecule is the one that is going to lead to the condition that is called sickle cell disease. Okay, so like I said, the signs and symptoms of sickle cell can either be the acute ones that usually lead the patient to the hospital, as well as the chronic signs and symptoms. So we'll start with the chronic signs and symptoms, which are seen throughout the patient's life. So firstly, these are patients that usually have yellowish looking eyes, and this is termed as jaundice. Okay? Apart from that, they also have chronic anemia, and symptoms of anemia that they're going to have include headache, fatigue, okay, as well as dizziness. Okay. Apart from this, they can also have what is called failure to thrive, and this can be seen in children that might not be developing at the same rate as other children in the same age group. Okay. Then, as for the acute category, the symptoms in the acute setting are usually divided into various crises that the patient can present with. Okay, and these include the vaso-occlusive crisis, which is the most common. Then there is the splenic sequestration crisis, the aplastic crisis, as well as the hemolytic crisis. So we're going to go through these one by one. So we'll start with the vaso-occlusive crisis, which is the most common. So vaso-occlusive crisis occurs when these sickled red blood cells block blood vessels. Okay, so remember, in sickle cell disease, the problem is the structure of the hemoglobin. So this abnormal hemoglobin, in certain circumstances, is going to lead to a change in the structure of the red blood cells, and they become sickle-shaped. Then because they have this abnormal shape, they're going to start clumping up together and start blocking small blood vessels that are found within our bodies. And when these blood vessels are closed up or clogged, this is what is going to lead to the vaso-occlusive crisis. Okay, so vaso-occlusive crisis, usually the patients who present in severe pain, and the pain is usually bone pain, because the common site for the vaso-occlusive crisis is in the bones. All right. Then apart from the vaso-occlusive crisis, these patients can also present with what is called aplastic crisis. So for the aplastic crisis, what happens is that these patients get an infection by a virus which is called parvovirus B19. So this virus, once contracted, goes to the bone marrow and leads to a reduction in the production of the red blood cells. Okay? And then because there's a reduction in the production of red blood cells, these patients are going to present with severe anemia. Okay? And the third crisis is what is called the splenic sequestration crisis. So in this case, blood starts to pool in the spleen, meaning a lot of blood starts to accumulate within the spleen. So because the blood is going to accumulate within the spleen within a short period of time, this is going to lead to symptoms of anemia, which, like I said, include headache, fatigue, dizziness. But then apart from this, is also going to present with symptoms of shock. Okay, which can be quite severe and might actually lead to the death of a patient. So symptoms of shock would include a deterioration in the level of consciousness, meaning this patient might suddenly become drowsy or lose consciousness. Apart from that, they might also present with a reduction in the blood pressure, and if you are to check the patient's pulse, okay, it also becomes very high. Okay, so this is yet another crisis in which a patient might present with in the acute setting. Apart from that, they can also present in a hyperhemolytic crisis. So during a hyperhemolytic crisis is an increased breakdown of the red blood cells. Okay, and then because there's an increased breakdown of the red blood cells, this patient again is going to present with anemia, because anemia results from the reduction in the number of red blood cells in this case. Okay, so these crises do not occur in isolation. It's possible to have one patient presenting with multiple of these crises or multiple symptoms from these 4 groups of crises, in which case it's going to be called a mixed presentation or a mixed crisis. Okay? So commonly patients with sickle cell disease are going to present with signs and symptoms around the age 3 to 6 months. They will present with their initial symptoms. Okay? Statistics actually show that about 30% of children are going to present with symptoms of sickle cell disease around the age of 3 months. While by the age of 6 years, most of these, about 90% of the children with sickle cell disease would have already presented with symptoms. And most commonly, the crisis that they're going to present with, or the symptoms that they're going to present with, are symptoms of the vaso-occlusive crisis. And there's a characteristic way in which they present, which is called the hand and foot syndrome. So this hand and foot syndrome is what is medically termed as dactylitis. This is where the patient will present with swelling of the fingers as well as the toes. Okay, this is because there's a vaso-occlusive crisis that's taking place in their fingers and in their toes. Okay, and when this happens, this is going to lead to swelling and severe pain in these regions of the body. Okay, so now we might also want to know the triggers. What are the things that would possibly lead a child to present with these signs and symptoms? So these triggers include things like dehydration. Okay, so there's dehydration, there's also acidosis, okay, as well as infections. So these infections could be any infections. It could be malaria, it could be a viral infection, it could be a bacterial infection. As long as there's an infection, it has a possibility of triggering these crises or the signs and symptoms of sickle cell disease. So we've come to the end of the segment of our program for today. Remember, this week we're discussing sickle cell disease, and we will continue with it tomorrow. My name is Songiwe Teresa Chilua, and I'm from the Medical Women's Association of Zambia.
Welcome back. So that was Dr. Songiwe Chiluba just telling us about the triggers, signs, and symptoms of sickle cell. So I hope you learned 1 or 2 things. And just now we're going to move into the money market to see how our kwacha is currently faring today, so that you know how to plan your day as you go ahead. So let's just have the money market. So the United States dollar is buying at 16 kwacha 83 ngwe, selling at 17 kwacha 16 ngwe. The euro is buying at 18 kwacha 89 ngwe, selling at 19 kwacha 26 ngwe. The Great British Pound is buying at 20 kwacha 59 ngwe, selling at 20 kwacha 99 ngwe. The South African Rand is buying at 1 kwacha 5 ngwe, and selling at 1 kwacha 7 ngwe. And our interest, as always, is in the US dollar to the kwacha, and so it is buying at 16 kwacha 83 ngwe and selling at 17 kwacha 16 ngwe. So that tells us that at least our kwacha for now is stable, unlike in the past when it was beyond 20 kwacha to in comparison to the kwacha. And just a reminder to our viewers that you can actually come on board and sponsor the money market, just like the health segment. And just now we're going to move into zooming some of yesterday's community headlines. And we had a story from Chongwe district done by Blessings Takwila, where a village actually is in a land dispute. So let's just take a look at that story and we'll be back to discuss in detail.
For more than 10 years now, people of Kampasa, located in Chongwe constituency, have lived in temporary houses, which are not conducive for human habitation. This has made life for the locals hard to cope with. Kampa Village happens to be one of the oldest villages in Zambia, with an origin of 48 families in the early 80s, and now over 500 households live here. However, the village is allegedly becoming history following attempts by named individuals who have surfaced claiming ownership of the land. Some senior citizens in the area had this to say.
So but in a time when you come kuti ife na wana wangawa na masukulu wanga ripa Kampasa pano government tipemba kuti siza choka palandi kapena kuli muntu wina amene iye anagulisa landi izo ndrama bwezerane ife na bana batu tife landi amene iyi mailo mukucha tigawana landi amene iyi ngati kuba kutipamu mukatipaila landi amene iyi Jamina munapaya parandi abatatu wajintoira wanakwana
muna mukambasa muchenjezeni havutisa mulungu wake panjawe yamene alimbana naise alimbana na bantu wa mulungu azamuchite bwanji mulangeni mupunziseni muchenjezeni azindikile.
The residents claim to have been promised the title deeds by the Movement for Multi-Party Democracy and the Patriotic Front governments. They have since appealed to the new administration to argue their case. The community chairperson also aired out his views.
I think our leaders there who belong to this constituency, they know themselves. They've got my number. I think they can communicate, but up to now, we've never communicated.
Enchongo District United Party for National Development Treasurer Oliver Kubanga says the people of Kampasa deserve the land.
To you, because that was their cry. Yes. And the people who, and you won here, and you won here in Kampasa, you know very much the history of Kampasa. Even when you came here in Kampasa, you were attacked somewhere there. Yeah. You were almost killed. William Banda his vehicle was destroyed and was beaten severely. So, sir, our invitation. You are not the president of the people of Woodlands. You are not the people of the rich people. You are the president for the poor and even for the rich.
Yes.
So you can go anywhere. So, sir, we invite you, come here in Kampasa and solve this issue.
Only time can tell as of when the land will be given to the residents. Blessings Chakwila, Camnet News in Chongwe.
So there you have it. Those were residents from Kampa Village in Chongwe district, and we have seen many such instances. For example, the other time there were some residents of Chulungoma village who said that the whole village of over 18,000 people formed in 1906 is actually under threat of displacement. And so these are some of the land issues that actually have to be looked into. Last year we saw the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources actually instituting a land audit in collaboration with the Ministry of Technology and Science. And we are yet to hear the outcome of such land audits, because such cases are very, very common in Zambia, and there have been concerns that Zambians should actually not be displaced by non-Zambian nationals, because they have to be the first priority in their own country. And just now we're going to look at another story from Mumba district, which is a similar situation where the locals allege that they're not benefiting from the mineral resources in the land, as most of them are actually unemployed. Let's take a look at that story from Mumba. The International Labour Organization, ILO, indicates that unemployment is still a concern in Zambia, as a huge population of employable citizens with various skills still remain on the search. The situation is even more pronounced in districts of the country with few industries and economic activities, leading to an increase in crime. This is the situation in Mumba district of Central Province, where most citizens of youthful age are still living in dire poverty due to limited employment opportunities. This is despite the district having many gold mines, as the residents allege that any local who gets employed in the mines is lucky, as most employees are handpicked from other parts of the country according to the preference of the employers. The aggrieved residents were speaking to Camnet News.
Then twalipokelako naba ku Tanzania abakwe bati nga twaimba fya apa nono epo tusangirako apa akulira bati bakwata ma Tanzania ni baye but government tapali fire kitako kwe bati batupeleko na ifwe enchito tuwombe. So ifwe tule support akona ma Tanzania because nga twaimba pa nono tulesa nga kwa kanono kwe bati abana besu baleria government takuli ololodi bali tubepa tapali fichitika. So kuna I think nga bawina kula bakukona. So na campaign kuno tatule ifwaya. Umulandi wakwe bati chachiramo. Opo ya ambira fye kuno takwaba improvement ya bako.
Tipemba batiteeko batiganizireko batipaseko mbali nango kunkhani ya maini tizisebenza kali ntchito muno mu Zambia mulibe then ntchito zamene kumapezeka ati bamene bachoka kunja ndio bamene bapasa mantchito so ise tifuna kuti tingaleko mwamtendere then batipase peace kuti tiziotise nisema Zambian.
They have therefore called on the Minister of Mines, Mr. Poka Buswe, to urgently look into their plight, stating that this has pushed many into illegal mining.
Fuma kumumbwa yonse ino yaba mu under Mumbwa district really mine so nasango kuti ngata ukwetaka non teti ubombe wayo new government ilirando kuti corruption to repression then yaba tulebomba na bena tulesango kuti ma government workers then they are hindering us, they are getting yaka nono kuri ife pakuti bakwate kokaria so ni corruption yali po Zambia
padi wa government banangena
mines, stating that locals should benefit first as the owners of the land. Zipora Mshala, Camnet News, Mumbwa District. And so that is a story actually from Mumbwa. And Miriam, you can actually get surprised when you go there. The place is really underdeveloped and all that. There's no
I know 2 days ago you were in the area. How was your interaction with the residents there? What were some of the complaints or challenges they told you that they were facing in their areas?
Mainly the same issue of unemployment, and they were actually like, they were really angry. And the time, because remember we went there originally for another story where someone was shot.
Yeah.
And they followed us all the way to the mines just to hear, like, because for them they were raising those issues, the same residents in that clip, yes, they were raising issues of unemployment. So they were saying, try to talk to these mine owners for us, why don't they employ us? And they actually even went with us to the mine and actually waited for a long time because the owner was... But then we also followed the shooting issue, but we helped them actually to hear some of those concerns. And maybe they thought we were going to lobby for them, but really that's beyond us. That's actually maybe for the Minister of Mines to lobby so that they're actually employed. They waited for us maybe close to an hour just sitting, waiting for the owner of the mine.
I really hope that the Ministry of Mines was able to hear those concerns.
I definitely hope so, because they've been the same everywhere. You talk about the Black Mountain issue. The mines on the Copper Belt, they say, why is it that Zambian youth are just benefiting from the Black Mountain? Or when it's our own country, why can't we actually benefit from the mines themselves? We have the same situation in Kawe, where they are, because Kawe is now a ghost town. We had many industries in Kawe, for example, Kifko, Mulungushi textiles. But all those are now white elephants, and you find that now the youths are just left to scavenge for lead, actually. That is their economic activity. So this is actually a serious issue to look into.
Really, really serious issue to look into. Anyway, talking about what's trending, Zipporah, what's trending in our areas? What's trending in the country?
Okay, and just now we're opening our phone lines officially, and we're just going to play some stories that we had yesterday on issues that are currently trending, and you can call in and comment on those stories and just give your other views about what is happening in your community. So we have this trend, Miriam, of people being reported in far parts of the country. And for me, I've been thinking about it, like, what does this say about other parts of the country? When someone threatens, in Lusaka, someone threatens, or report in Lukul, does it mean like we're looking down on those parts of the country? Why don't we actually bring development to all parts of the country? And so yesterday we saw Honorable Kamuli, actually, who's been has he already been transported?
Yes, he was transported to Kasama yesterday. Very weird, I must say, but anyway, from the opposition political members, they have argued to say there's no way, you commit a crime in Lusaka and then you're being transported to another location just because someone from there reported you. According to the law, what I know, if you commit a crime in Lusaka, Zipporah, you need to be tried in Lusaka and not elsewhere. So, anyway, it becomes,
for them, the logic is, they're saying previously, what has been happening is that if someone is reported, for example, in Solwezi, that person is taken to Solwezi because they're saying this is where the reported incident happened. Even if someone reported a crime here in Lusaka, they'll say the report has come from Solwezi. But then now they're saying in the case of Honorable Kamuli, the case has been reported here, but they're saying you need to go to Kasama where the crime was committed. So they're saying those are double standards. Anyway, so let's just take a look at that story and you can call in and give us your view.
Police in Lusaka have Monday 20th June 2022 issued a warn and caution to former lawmaker for Ruang constituency Tshimba Kamuli, 53 of Lusaka's Woodlands area for offense of expressing words deemed to cause hatred, ridicule and contempt among persons of a particular tribe and origin. It is alleged that on dates unknown, but between May of 2021 and August of the same year, the alleged suspect, Mr. Kamuli, uttered words that expressed hatreds towards people from Southern Province and the President. Speaking when addressing the media, Police Deputy Spokesperson Danny Mwali confirmed the detention of Mr. Kamuli at Skawata Police Station pending transfer to Kasama on the Northern Province for issuance of a formal charge.
Police have warned and cautioned Dr. Tshimba Kamuli, aged 53, of Woodlands in Lusaka, for the subject offense of expressing or showing hatred, ridicule or contempt for persons because of race, tribe, place of origin, contrary to Section 70, subsection 1 and 2, Chapter 87, as read with Act Number 2 of 2021 of the Cyber Security and Cyber Crimes of the Laws of Zambia.
Meanwhile, Kambuli's lawyer, Totwangulube, has described his detention as an abuse of the law.
First headquarters, they said we'll give you a police bond from Kawata. And when we came here, the story has changed that the complaint is from Kasama. So we know it's those usual games that they play. Arresting someone, detaining someone here, picking them up at midnight, dropping them in Kasama, abandoning them there to find their own transport to Lusaka. It's an abuse of the law and abuse of the process of court. So we are yet to see how professional they are going to be on this one. But the issue is they're saying that Kamuli issued a tribal remark against the Southern Province people.
And Patriotic Front presidential aspirant Emmanuel Mwamba has appealed to President Hakainde Hichilema to not use the law as a tool to oppress the opposition, adding that transferring Kamuli to Kasama when the complaint was issued in Lusaka proves that the president is playing double standards.
If you look at the case of Honorable Nakachinda and Mr. Chilufya Tayari, the complainants were in Solwezi and in Lukulu. So if the complainant against Dr. Kamuli is in Lusaka, why don't they process the case here in Lusaka?
Shame.
In his case, they are saying he should be taken to Kasama where the alleged offense took place, not where the complainant is. So you can clearly see double standards. Our appeal is to President Hakainde Hichilema. He should not allow the law to be used as a tool to oppress the opposition, to silence his critics.
This development has brought worry to some PF members who have since gathered at the police premises to show solidarity.
The freedom of speech and the freedom of everything as Zambians. And we don't want Zambia to be on fire. We want a better Zambia than what we are seeing at the moment. This time we want a president who is going to show us economy. In Zambia there is hunger. A lot of things have gone bad. But let them concentrate on those better things than no. No, we are not doing the right things.
Messi Chanika reporting for Kamnet TV News, Lusaka.
United Party for National Development UPND administration has come under hot criticism of recent, especially from the former ruling Patriotic Front PF, for allegedly failing to bring down the high cost of living in the country and provide employment for Zambia's unemployed population, as promised during campaigns for the August 2021 general elections. UPND spokesperson Mr. Cornelius Mwetwa says the PF is not in the position to comment on such matters, as the UPND is currently laboring to correct the poor economic situation which alleges was created in the last 10 years of the PF rule. Addressing the media Monday, Mr. Mwetwa has also commented on corruption, stating that the non-conviction of PF members simply proves lack of evidence and is not proof that no corruption was committed. He has also challenged those claiming that the UPND administration is equally corrupt to provide evidence.
When the New Dawn administration took over government, the economy was growing in the negative at negative 2% GDP growth rate. And today, the economy has moved from negative 2% to 2% positive growth rate. That is progress. So, when we talk about the cost of living, let us agree that the cost of living reflects the state of the economy. And the state of the economy is one which we inherited at a time as a country could not even meet our international obligations.
Meanwhile, the UPND national spokesperson has also downplayed the unity of 12 opposition political party leaders recently, stating that Zambia currently has no strong opposition, as the current existing do not offer constructive checks and balances.
When you look at them, all of them opposed HH and his administration. They opposed his ascendance to power. They did not vote for him. So even when they can talk the way they are talking now, no, we should remove this government. Remove it and replace it with what? Because there's no replacement this far. Sure, can you replace HH and you don't with Winter Kalimba? Fred Mende. Now we don't know in PF whether it's Emmanuel Mwamba, Chimbagambwiri, but you know Chimbagambwiri already told the nation to say, don't go to PF. If you go back to PF, PF is poison. If you take poison, you lose your life. You cease to exist. So, what the opposition alliance can do right now is to begin to identify someone unblemished. It may take long, the way it took long for UPND to form government, but it is possible.
He has further discouraged UPND members from reporting PF members to police stations in far-flung areas, stating that all citizens should be respected regardless of political affiliation. Zipporah Mshala, Camnet News, Lusaka.
That and other few things, those are quite trending issues that we currently have in the country. We have seen Southern Province Minister Cornelius Mwetwa's commenting on PF aspirant Chishimba Kambudi, saying that the time he was in the UPND, he said, please don't go back to the PF. Yeah, there's poison there, you would die. But now when we saw him, later after, anyway, in May 2021, later leave his party, which was the NDC, and go back to the PF party, rejoining the party once again. And now he has been arrested for an offense he's alleged of having done, which occurred in May, between May and August in 2021, during the election period. And now he has been transported to Kasama for the alleged offense of uttering hate speech in Southern Province. Zipporah, your thoughts on that? We have seen that a lot of opinions were coming from, statements were coming from opposition members saying no, it's unthinkable for him to be transported in Kasama if the complainant, if the complaint was lodged here in Lusaka. Yeah, so
but the thing has been taken to where the crime is alleged to have occurred. And previously we were talking about someone being reported in Solwezi, but the crime was committed here, and then they say, we'll take you where the crime was reported. So there's that.
Yeah, it continues to be a trend. We saw that even from Shwangandu, Member of Parliament, Stephen Kampyongo, who was recently acquitted by the court. You know, he was also taken somewhere to answer for the alleged offense that occurred in 2015 for the chopper. Yeah, so we'll continue to see these trending issues. But anyways, Zipporah, your thoughts on that before I say something else.
Okay, yeah, and yesterday we saw Mr. Cornelius Mwetwa, who's actually the UPND national spokesperson, at the press briefing, was actually saying UPND members should desist from reporting people in faraway parts of
but
the country.
you know what, I think it's the correct thing that he did to advise his members to, you know, move away from doing such. You know, it makes the whole investigative thing, the fight against all this, to be more political, you know, to look as if it's political persecution, yeah, than the normal prosecution. So I think it was a very, very good move that he did to warn his members. Anyway, we hope they adhere to that directive.
And was actually saying,
and we don't see members now. We'll see someone
but now they'll just start
Changombo reporting someone again, and then you see now people are being transported.
I really don't think that will come to an end, because they are saying UPND members should actually seek guidance from the Secretary General if anyone is going to report in the name of the party. But I think now what is going to start happening, they'll just say, I'm a concerned citizen. I'm not UPND, I'm just a concerned citizen, I'm reporting. That's what is going to start happening.
Yeah.
They'll say, a concerned citizen in my individual capacity. So why should I seek permission from UPND when I'm a concerned citizen and not a party member? So really, but this is actually costing the country a lot of resources.
It is. Imagine now. I'm wondering, Zipporah. Here is a case, huh? You go to the police, you report someone. The police want better something. The officers will tell you they don't have transport.
And even when it's time to get a dead body from somewhere, they don't have that.
Even a dead body, they'll say we don't have transport. The family now needs to look for money to pay the officers to come there, you know, to put fuel and come there at the crime of scene and pick up the body. But when it comes to such cases, there's transport.
There's a lot of transport to take someone all the way to Nakonde and all that. So really, are we placing our priorities right?
Yeah, yeah.
So that's some, and even just a phone, Miriam. Have you noticed that if you want to like find a lost phone and all that, don't they know? There's no transport. The other time, last year in June, I had the phone lost, and they were like, no, we don't have money for logistics to start doing investigations. And can you imagine such a thing whereby you report a theft, but then when it comes to these issues, that would money to take people all the way across the country?
And talking about that, please, all those who are watching us, please do give us your comment with regards to this particular topic that we're having this morning. I know we are coming from different communities, Zipporah. Please tell us, how is the police service? How do police welcome you when you go to report a matter? Do they offer you the adequate service that you need, or they tell you no? Transport.
And actually, I have a complainant, Miriam, who came through yesterday. We were yet to do the story, and the complaint was from Kalikiliki police post, and so they're not happy with the services there. I think those same complaints, whereby they're telling them, come and address this. They are not actually doing that. So I think that's something that actually has to be looked on.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Please tell us your name and where you're calling us from, sir.
I'm Brixton. I'm calling from South.
It's good to know that Kawe is watching. Please go ahead with your contribution.
Yes, please. I just wanted to mention that I was watching a video where the former president was saying it's not available for 2026 elections. Yes, I hope that is part of the trending.
Yes, please go ahead.
Yes. No, it's good that I is able to provide a direction so that the major opposition party can settle down and see how best they can still be contributing to the checks and balances that our government requires. Because I think he was silent, and there was some rumor that he's still available for 2026. Now that he's come out, it sets a good pace for the former ruling party to look around within its house and identify potential leaders to take over the leadership of the party. That is what I wanted to contribute.
All right, thank you very much.
All right, thank you.
I don't know if I saw that particular video. Did you see that particular?
No, but of late there have been some speculation from people on social media and elsewhere saying that the former head of state, that is President Edgar Lungu, he's expressing interest to contest, yes, to contest in the 2026 general elections. But anyway, we did see him coming out and say he has no such thoughts.
And even is it recently when you saw the acting PF president, Mr. Given Luinda, actually saying some people are speculating that I'm keeping the seat warm for the former head of state until 2026.
Yes.
So
yes,
but I'm not, and I'll actually even like contest in the convention and all that. But I think Miriam as Camnet TV should just take advantage of one of these events and just get a clear picture, because you can find on social media maybe some of those are odd things. I remember in 2016 there was such an incident, and then later he said, no, my friends have told me to contest. So I think now as Camnet, once we have that opportunity where he's at an event, I think we really just have to ask him, Mr. President, are you available for 2026? So that we get a clear answer whether he says yes or no. That can spur.
But this time around, Zipporah, we have seen like 5 presidential PF aspirant, that is being the minister himself, I mean, the former minister, Given Lubinda, you know, trying to...
Honorable Brian Mundubile,
and not forgetting Mr. Dr. Kamuli himself, who has been transported to Kasama. Hello, good morning. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Please tell us your name and where you're calling us from, sir.
This is Lucky calling from McKinney.
Please, it's good to know that McKinney is watching. Please go ahead with your contribution.
Yes, my contribution is that sometimes when you go to this police station to report, you find that the face which the police officers give us, you will not even have that courage to report. And also, like one time when I went there to report, to get a police report when I lost my driver's license. First day, I was told it's 50 watts, so I didn't have that money on me. So then, after 2 days later, I went there again. I was told it's 100 watts. So I don't know how these people work. There should be a fixed amount, not where you go today, they will tell you this, tomorrow they will tell you something else. So those people are there to enforce the law and to do the right thing, not just say whatever comes in their mind. That's my contribution. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your contribution. And I feel like, Miriam, maybe we should actually, maybe like on the next topic that we'll be discussing next week, I think the performance of the police, because really I'm one such person who's actually going to report something and all that. Maybe they say bring this and that for logistics, but you find that nothing happens. The time when I lost my phone last year, I had to pay 200 for logistics, and I didn't know the officer's name, but up to now that one has not been found. So on top of losing my phone, I had to lose my money. You had to lose your money. A very, very quite sad situation there. And also one of our colleague, Patrick Soko, also found himself in such a situation where he paid for logistics. But are you supposed to pay for logistics, or are those people civil servants? Exactly. That's what we should... Hello, good morning.
Yes, good morning.
Yes, you're through to the Camnet breakfast show. Can you tell us your name, where you're calling us from, and you can give your contribution?
Thanks very much. I'm speaking to Kwali Mariamo from Osaka.
Okay, you can go ahead.
Yes, I think the main contribution that I like to allude is sometimes the way the police officers are behaving, especially in our country, is not encouraged. They need to do more and they need to follow up their tokens. I read my colleague was talking about when he lost the driver's license. Yeah, look at the same also I went through the same problem. I think last year. When I lost my NRC, I was just to write the police report. I was asked to pay a 50 kwacha. Now, the most important thing there is just a data stamp. Are you telling me there is worth enough to charge someone a 50 kwacha for a data stamp? Which is not right.
Sir, did you pay?
Yeah.
Did you pay that money through the bank or you gave them as cash money?
No, I did that through the police station.
Okay.
Which is not like, because those people, they are there to ensure that they save the people according to the system in Zambia. Which not to do what they think is for themselves, but they should be within the law. So the law is very clear, they are there to save. Not to do that when it's not necessary. But so I think on that one, I would love to urge the Zambia police to ensure that they pull up their tokens on that. They are there because of us. Thank you.
Thank you.
And Miriam, one
interesting
question:
contributions there.
Do people get given receipts? That is the major question.
Yeah.
And they're given this man, and it's even actually negotiable, because I remember for me that the first the logistics and negotiation.
You need to negotiate. Okay, boss.
Because I was told to pay 300 for the same logistics, and I was told I only have 200 here in my bag. That like,
so you told
bring
them
that same 200.
Boss, in a 200 shabam bag. So Zakpasankoni.
So really,
but the question is, are you supposed to pay for those logistics in the first place? Zipporah, here's a person who reports. Maybe say, let's take for instance Mrs. Compound. Okay, you go at the police and then you say, "Bwana, tilina kuri dead body." Are you supposed to pay and say, "Okay, ndrama ya fiwewe"?
Or we have another caller. Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Yes, you're through to Camnet Breakfast Show. Can you tell us your name?
I'm Mr. Mwanza calling you from Kawata.
Mr. Mwanza, please go ahead with your contribution.
Not just my observation, eh?
Yes. You can go ahead.
Last year, we had an incident where senior persons were beaten at the Central Police Station. And that man who committed that crime is another one is arrested. Then there's also an incident of Mr. Commissioner Siandege, who is a police officer now. He committed a crime against citizens. He went to rob, and I think the police were illegally searched. The man is still there. Why is he arrested?
Okay. Okay. Thank you very much for contributions. I'm sure the police service is actually hearing. And I wish we
just to relate to what Mr. Mwanza was trying to say, I think he was trying to mention the incident that happened. I should remember that was 2020, if I'm not mistaken, of Patriotic Front. By then, he was still in the opposition Patriotic Front, and now he's currently the independent member of parliament for Petauke, who is JJ Banda. There were reports, anyway, it was reported that he had gone to Central Police Station and then attacked the police.
Yes,
he was arrested, yes, dragged to court, and later on, Mr. Mwanza, if you did not have this information, he was later on, I think Enole was entered in the case after he was arrested. Enole was entered and then he was re-arrested again, and I think Enole, he was fined or something. Yeah. Yeah.
So anyway, really, well, I think next time I'm going to invite the police spokesperson, Mr. Ray Mwanga, or the deputy, whoever will be working at that time, and just hear like what is the view over the performance of the Zambia police service. Are people getting helped, or do they actually need to actually give something?
But we need to. Anyway, before I say this, we have a caller. Hello, good morning.
Good morning. How are you, Panel?
We are fine. How are you? Thanks, how are you?
I'm great, thanks.
Please tell us your name and where you're calling us from.
I'm calling from Ndola. My name is Moses Mumba.
Mr. Mumba, it's good to know that Ndola is watching. Please go ahead with your contribution.
Yeah, my contribution is on the transfer of this politically motivated or suspected crimes committed by these politicians being transferred from one place to another. My comment is that this is not new. I would I'll be very sad if it was probably an MP from any other party other than PF. Because PF started this system of arresting someone from Solwezi and transfer that person all the night up to Shuaman. And now that it is happening, they cannot cry foul because they created the precedent. However, as much as we do not support this kind of action, I think PF should be the least to complain about, because these are things that they need to do for people. So what is good for the Uganda, it is also good for the East. Otherwise, I also wanted to appreciate the way you are covering news exposing the poverty, the crimes that are taking place in the country.
Thank you so much.
This is what the journalism or mass media should be doing to the country, so that the government is on its toes to address various issues that are affecting its people. So Camnet TV, Prime TV, keep it up. We love you. We'll keep continue to support you.
Thank you so much.
Okay, bye.
Quite interesting contribution, Zipporah, from Kawe there, all the way from Kawe.
From Dole, isn't it Dole?
Yeah.
Yes.
But my question would be, don't you think it's high time that the now current administration changes how things used to happen in the previous administration? Imagine if there's a change of government later on, after maybe 10 years from now, 5 years from now. Don't you think the same government, Zipporah, would be saying, no, just because this previous government did this, we also need to do this?
Yeah, so that's why we saw Mr. Cornelius Motwaya calling for an end of the trend. They said even you yourself would not feel good if a UPND member was transported across the country. So why should you do that to PF members? So yeah, he was actually calling for respect for citizens regardless of their political affiliation. So those were our trending issues that we had there, Miriam.
Yeah, exactly, Zipporah. So right about now, we'll just take a short break, and we will be joined by our guest of this morning, where we are going to be talking about the failed parliamentary motion to loosen CDF guidelines. Please stay tuned as we take our short break, and yeah.
Deborah Lukalu, all the way from South Africa. You are watching Camnet channel, not just another channel. God bless you. Stay tuned.
Welcome back to the show. We now move into another segment. We are going to be talking about the failed parliamentary motion to loosen CDF guidelines. And just like you were calling before, we ask you to continue calling and giving us your views. And so we have been joined by Iteshiteji Member of Parliament, Mr. Mutinta Twambo, to actually help us discuss this topic and tell us what this now means for CDF. What is the future? Good morning, Honorable.
Hi, good morning, Zipporah.
Good morning.
Sure, thanks.
Yes, welcome to the show. I hope the morning is not too cold.
Yeah, it's okay.
Yes, definitely okay.
Yeah, it's okay.
And how is Iteshiteji this morning?
Well, Iteshiteji is fine.
Mm.
Iteshiteji is kicking.
Mm-hmm.
The people of Iteshiteji right now, they're having the agriculture shows.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Iteshiteji is an agricultural constituency.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of farmers are celebrating their success, though the yield might not be as good as it was last year because of floods and a lot of other factors.
Mm-hmm.
But all the same, there is significant production of maize, and also with the diversification, soybeans. A lot of them are diversifying into soybeans.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, that is what is obtained on the ground. CDF have continued working around its implementation. The processes are ongoing. In the next 1 week, this week actually, we are anticipating to get the approval, so that the kids who have gone to school, who need to go to school, can also be, the conversation can be concretized. Also, the projects that are about to kick off, they can also be able to be actualized, so that everything gets on track.
How much sensitization have you done to ensure that the people of Itezi do not lack enough information when it comes to them forming cooperatives and also having access to the constituency development funds?
Yeah, we've done significant sensitization, but just like everywhere else, Miriam, we might not get it right, especially that we are doing it for the first time, especially that we are living in a country where people thought opening a club is for a particular purpose, which is not supposed to be the case. We are living in a country where people thought getting an NRC was meant for elections, which is not supposed to be the case. So the battle is huge. Everything we had to start afresh, helping people to understand the concept of what a cooperative is, helping people to understand that they needed to have NRC, helping people to understand what a cooperative is. And the fact that these processes are centralized, the process might not have been easy as it's anticipated. So the first 1 year, like in this year we are in, we might anticipate some few teething issues. But going forward, when people will know that even having a reg, it's not about a cooperative, then I'm sure the process will perfect, and I'm sure we'll be able to get there in a more perfect manner. One thing I would want to mention even here is that even the processes of reviewing the appraisal of most of these clubs was not as I anticipated. A lot of women clubs, we were discovering that within the list of women, there are also men there that deemed them to be disqualified.
But what was prompting them to do that? Did they think
one thing you need to understand is illiteracy levels are very high amongst women in rural areas. Illiteracy levels are very high amongst the young people in rural areas as compared to Lusaka. So it's all about literacy levels and not having had enough time to prepare for the formalities of these processes. One thing we need to understand is we are only 8 months in government. And this process started when we were about 4 months in government. And we were rushing with a new budget, and there were a lot of formalities that needed to be put in place just to ensure that we get it right. But one thing we need to understand is to understand the objective of this conversation, the decentralization, the intention to make people be empowered, the intention to make people decide their fate, the intention to make people identify their own needs. So for the projects, like the capital projects, we're on course. people gathered, they were able to identify the pirate areas. The challenge could be where they were forming cooperatives, forming clubs, where perhaps they could have not done the correct way. More important, like I mentioned last time, even the ability to compete, the ability to compete in companies. These are some of the issues that we may not get right now, but they will be, with time, we will get them correct. Most of these companies are owned by men. Very few people are capable of completing the process of having a full registered companies because of money, because of time, because of not having correct information. But for me, these are some of the issues that I feel with time we'll be able to get them right. Meanwhile, government is working around reducing some of these formalities in terms of how much money the council can approve, in terms of how to decentralizing the insurance of some of these certificates from either central government to local government, the issue of making people, not all of them, open bank accounts, but even using Airtel money. So all those are some of the steps that government is also cognizant to as a way of maybe making these processes a bit easier. But more important is to manage people's expectations. It does not mean when this CDF is given out, everyone, all 13 million people will get loans, will get nothing. That's not how it works. So there is also a process. It's only those that have got sellable proposals. It's only those whose proposals are viable who will get. So it's also about managing people's expectations. If you talk of the says as a population of 67,000 people, it doesn't mean in the first quarter everyone will be given a loan, everyone will be given a grant. All the communities will be provided with infrastructure and clinics. No, it's a process. It's a process, and we agree with the people that they are coming from an impoverished government for over 15 years, a government which subjected them to absolute poverty, such that the moment when UPND won, they thought things were just going to turn around 90 degrees, which is not possible. So it's a process. It's a process. And that's the reason why somebody said things cannot turn around over 6 months. When in 20 years there was no recruitment. In 20 years there was no CDF. So within 8 months, people should exercise a bit of patience. But we cannot blame. It's because of what we went through, what PF took us through, such that people have got very high expectations. And that's why government is working around the clock just to sit with how do we manage these expectations and ensure that we meet everyone's demands gradually. It can't be met immediately. And coming to, that's why also coming to the conversation we're having today, the issue of the motion. Proposing such a motion by my colleague from Chama South, Honorable Charo. All that comes as a result of having high expectations. We can't blame him, because also he's coming from a background where he saw that in the PF government, our children were not accessing bursaries. So having seen UPND, which means well, it became an opportunity for them to propose such a motion, which for me, I think it was not time replaced, and it was misplaced from a realistic point of view, because when we go to parliament there, those motions, we are not supposed to look at them from the partisan point of view. We should look at them from the realistic point of view. So the motion basically was around wanting government to amend the CDF guidelines to ensure that they get on board payment of children in tertiary institutions. So for us, when we looked at that motion, it was not well placed. First of all, it was a motion which was raised as a result of having high expectations that government can do everything at the same time, which is practically impossible. So when you look at the CDF itself, you should be looking at it from the background. Where did CDF come from? What was the objective of CDF? CDF is not taking over central government. I think that's one thing that people need to understand. CDF will not do everything. CDF was an initiative of the members of parliament. That's the reason why when people argue to say why are the members of parliament too much in control of CDF, people should also look back and understand the background of CDF. It was an initiative for members of parliament to cushion where central government was not doing enough. I'll give you an example in the testers. In a space of 4 years before I became a member of parliament, there was nothing which was done. When I mean nothing, I'm not politicking here, Miriam. The only thing in the space of 4 years which was done was a market. That's also why every time PF went to campaign in the States, they were launching the market 5 times.
The same market.
Because that's the only thing which was there. Nothing. Apart from few dots of CDF which was being done in 1.6, which was also erratic in terms of its disbursement. So central government was failing us. So that's why the initiative of CDF came, to ensure that it meets some of the gaps, especially in the education sector and the health sector and a bit of infrastructure. Those were the 3 areas where CDF was cushioning MPs' agendas. Now, when we came into power, our president who strongly believes in decentralization. And if you remember decentralization, Zipola and Miriam, the conversation of decentralization started when I remember I was in grade 6, in 1996. That's when that conversation started. Mwanawasa came, Rupia, what, or you name them. May their souls rest in peace. They couldn't actualize what was actualized by UPND coming into power. Now, the intention of CDF was basically to give powers to your grandmother, to also decide what kind of infrastructure they need, to decide what type of project, instead of people from Lusaka deciding for them. That's what decentralization is. I can't say we've reached 100% decentralization. It's a process. But the speed at which UPND has moved is 102% faster than the speed which our colleagues in 10 years had. Because right now, your relatives are deciding what they want in their village. For the first time, right now, for the first time, someone will be given a grant of 40 pin. Where did you see that? So all these are some of the process. Now, the motion which our colleagues were pushing, it means well. We all have relatives who wants to go to university. Me, I've got a nephew who was never given a bursary. We are not corrupt. I will not go in the enter offices and push that my nephew is given a bursary the way our colleagues were doing. My nephew has not been given a bursary. And it also pains me. Because I don't have the capacity to pay for his university. Because his family, the mother and father are vulnerable. Now, bringing that motion, wanting to amend CDF guidelines, I think for me it was not the right time, first of all, and also looking at the background of what CDF is intended to do. The intention of the skills bursary is to empower the children who are in the villages who don't have grade 12. For skills bursary, the intention is to take people to go and acquire apprenticeship skills, basic apprenticeship skills of 3 months, 2 months, as a way of allowing them to equalize in society, so that they can also be able to practice a skill and earn a living. And that's education for a living. So the intention of the skills bursary is not to sponsor someone who is going to go do a doctorate for 12 years. Just even the cycle of paying for someone for 12 years, how do you manage it from CDF? How do you manage it from CDF? So the intention for CDF is to give people immediate skills which they are going to apply immediately. First of all, to change their livelihood. Secondly, to change their society. And that money is not a lot of money that can take someone to university. It's a small amount of money where you pay 5,000 for someone to go to Notec. He goes to learn how to be a mechanic. Comes back to his test. He finds someone who is constructing a school. He's employed as a mechanic. He contributes immediately. Life continues. That is the intention. So the intention of paying for people who want to go do 12 years, doctorates, who wants to go to Russia, who wants to go to the University of Zambia, no. Moreover, these young people are in categories. You, myself, we were privileged to go to university. I was privileged to go to the University of Zambia myself. And then I was on self-sponsorship. I've never tested what a bursary means myself. But I had the privilege of struggling through and going to university and paying for myself. And sure, I got my degree and my master's and everything else. But we've got someone who never had an opportunity to enter into a classroom. Should we throw that one away? Should we take the opportunity of that one who never went into class? Should it be overtaken by someone who had an opportunity to go to grade 12 and get 6 points? The intention is to empower those that had never stepped in a classroom. They are also human beings. They never went to school not because they wanted, but there was no free education. And there were a lot of circumstances, distance to schools. Our government was not responsible. It never gave an opportunity for everyone. It never paid for anyone. There was no free education. So we've got a cadre of young people who never went to school. We need to galvanize those, bring them together, push them into skills, let them have the skills, let them employ others, let them be employ others, let them be employers, let them be employed, and let them be able also to catch up in life and be able to contribute. Moreover, apprenticeship skills, they will not make you to be employed. Look at how many people are waiting for this recruitment of 30,000 teachers. People are spending sleepless nights. Imagine all these 30,000, they are waiting to be employed. But the 30,000, if they went for apprenticeship skills, if they went for plumbing, if they went for bricklaying, if they went for carpentry, they will not wait to be employed. These are going to employ themselves, they are going to employ others, and they will start practicing their skills immediately the day they walk out of the university. For me, that is the objective of that apprenticeship skills that UPND has brought. The intention is to divert the attention of young people from being employed to employing themselves. And they can only employ themselves if they've got skills. And that is what the objective of the CDF skills bursary was. It's not meant to ensure that people who are universities get the bursary. However, as I conclude, I want to mention that what we are aspiring as UPND members of parliament is to ensure that we increase the bursary for tertiary education. That is not something that we can water down. That motion, if it was meant to push for a supplementary budget to ensure that we increase the allocation of children who go to universities, that motion is going to be supported. But maybe we can't support it now amidst the debt crunch we're in, amidst the negotiations for the debt, which was left by somebody again. We don't need to forget who left this debt.
But when you were in government, you did promise the people of Zambia during your campaigns that from 1 to tertiary education, there'll be free education. Yeah, what has changed now?
But as in free education started from 1 to 12.
Is it the tertiary level?
No, but for me, I feel that it's a process. I don't think it's everything that can be done overnight. I don't think that. And when you see that, if someone said from 1 to tertiary, there will be free education, and you see that a step has been taken in a space of 8 months, I think for me, I can thank that person. If there was completely no step taken over a certain pronouncement, then I would say there is that person is a liar. But if someone tells me that we will do this road, then within 6 months, someone does 5 kilometers out of a road of 50 kilometers, I think someone is showing that there is progress somewhere, or heading somewhere. And like when someone does completely nothing. So for me, that's how I look at it. It's a process. And for all information, UPND is a government of people that went to school. We need to award people who have gone to school. We appreciate the value of people that are putting effort in school. I'm one of the members of parliament that values education. I'm the chairperson for the Committee on Education, Science and Technology. I don't think UPND will be a government that will look down on the educated people, that will look down on the intelligent children. Intelligent children should be awarded by being given bursaries. But the most tricky thing also, why people are crying, is because of the way the bursary was being managed. The bursary committee, it was favoring the rich people, your children and their children. Poor children were never given an opportunity. And that is the reason why the bursary, the number of people who are on bursaries, colleagues, there are still a lot of them. The only problem is that it's the wrong people who are on those bursaries. And one of the steps UPND has to do is to clean up the bursaries committee so that the right people get those loans. That's one of the most important things. You can have a system like the bursaries committee, but it's allocating children of the privilege already. You will never see the difference because they are still empowering children who are well to do because of not having had a system, because of corruption, because of a lot of reasons. How do you explain when I was saying that my nephew was left? If I took you where my nephew comes from, you can't like it. But go to invest, go and check the children who are on those bursaries. So for me, asking to increase the bursary is one thing. And also asking that the bursary committee, the system itself, should be honest to itself. Let it give the children who deserve. We have a lot of children this way. Most of these MPs, who are crying that we amend this guidelines. It's because they are rural MPs. It's because their relatives, their children in these rural, they are never given opportunities. The ones who are given opportunities are the Lusaka ones. Go to the University of Zambia. I was at the University of Zambia. I was seeing the people who were on buzzard, who were on 100% buzzard. I would see them. Very few people from the rural areas. I've got children in the testers who come to my office day and night. I write recommendations for them. Poor children.
As Itezi MP, do you also hold the view that we have seen some opposition political area members of parliament saying they're having challenges with the current CDF Act and ways of the guidelines? Do you also hold the same view?
Yeah, thank you so much. That's a very, very good question. For me, what I see in this whole conversation is just issues around managing expectations, like I did mention. First of all, when we got into office, for the first time, the entire country received the 1.6 at once, which was never received. It would come, they would send you a 500, and it depended, in the past, it was all dependent on how close are you with the minister for your constituents to receive the 1.6. But in November, we got into power in September. In November, all the constituencies, 156 constituencies, they got the first 1.6 CDF.
For the year 2021?
Yes. Imagine for the year 2021, CDF was got in November 2021. You get the point? Now,
is it being utilized?
So for me, I'll give an example. For me, the 2021 is all being utilized. I'm building a house for a medical officer. We are building a spray race for the agriculture, for dipping animals, and we're also doing a 1x3 classroom block in an area which was usually impassable, which gets cut during the rainy season. So the 1.6 which came in November, it has all been dispersed using the old processes of approval, which were very bureaucratic, which for now have even reduced a bit. Now, we are now in June, 6 months from January. 3-4 months ago, we received the 2022, and we received about 6 million, the first tranche of CDF for 2022. Practically speaking, we are on track. Unless you need to manage your expectations, of which I can't blame people because we are coming from a background where there was nothing happening. So all of us have got higher expectations, wanting things to be done fast. But again, I'll tell you one thing. Someone can say I'm being overambitious. But I'll tell you one thing. Me, I come from a background of an NGO where things should be done correct, where there are no shortcuts. The grants we are giving community members, if we rush, we don't do correct due diligence. We are rushing just to ensure that we promise, so we should quickly do it. For you to be given a grant, it's important. You need to have the right documentation, address. The members should be very clear who are the members of this group. It should also be very clear what you want to use the money for. You will not give the money to a group that is not demonstrating properly how they will be valued for that money. Because this money is hardly earned. You will not just be giving it the way PF used to give it. People go and marry, people go and buy music equipment, people go for holidays. That's not supposed to be the case. There should be due diligence to ensure that the people that you are giving the money, the project they are proposing is sustainable, is viable, it will not offend the environment. You get the point? Yes. Then also the group you are giving the money, how coordinated is the group? Do you have all their contacts? Are these real community members? Because you give a grant to the people coming from Lusaka. How are you going to account for that? Before a group applies for these monies, the village headman has to sign. The chief or any community member has to sign, so that you are sure that you are giving the money to the right people. So these are the due diligence processes that are also being done at community to ensure that you do the right thing. Because someone will cry foul. Some people can mobilize themselves from Rosak. They go to testers. They look for someone to sign, blah, blah, he signs everything. They get a 40 pin and they disappear. How are you going to account for that money? So these are some of the due processes that I feel people should also hold on a bit and see to it that they are done correct. I'll give an example. When we start to review the secondary school bursaries in ETSS, there were 230 applicants. But when we start to review them, we discovered that the list came from the school, but the individual children, the wards where they came from, there was no forms signed by the ward where they come from. We had to refuse to do that. And that is what delayed the process, because the school gave us a list of 230 children. Some of those children, perhaps they are already on another bursary like KGS. And so those children, we needed to know that where does that child come from? At the community level where that child comes from, the ward development committee, have they signed that this child comes from this village? And this child is really a double orphan. Because that signature should come from where the child is coming from. So if the ward where the child is coming from, they've not signed off, it's only the school. That would be not it quite. So we have to return all the 230, say, let them go back to the villages where they come from. The community members there should sign. These children should appear in the minutes from the individual villages in order for us to accept. Or else, someone will say the MP mobilized 100 children from Lusaka and he has sorted them in the list. Then the issues again will do what? We'll start. So we want the process to be authenticated by the people themselves, ensuring that the right thing is done. And that is when these monies will be given, so that we get the best projects which will not be a waste of money. We ensure that we put the right children on the bursary. We ensure that we take the children to the right colleges. So these are some of the processes that I strongly feel in a space of 6 months. I don't think it would be right to demonize the process without looking at what the objective of this process is, which is to mean well and to bring about projects which are sustainable and viable. In this quarter, in ETSS, we'll be building about 11 projects for the first time.
Using the previous CDF? Using
the 2022 first tranche CDF. 11 projects. Out of 11 projects, about 4 they are schools. And what we've resolved with my committee, we will never do things which are half meal. When we are building a school in ETSS, we are building a 1x3 classroom block. We need to do a water point. We need to do a teacher's house. And we need to do the ablution block. That's a complete package. That is a development we want. We are not here to campaign. We are just spreading, here you do a toilet, here you put a ball. No, we are doing things which are holistic. When we support a school, we are done. When we build a clinic, we will do a clinic. We will do a house for the nurse. We will put an incinerator. We will put water, and we move to the next place. That is the trajectory
we have a comment from one of our viewers who says, quite all right, the 2022 CDF money is in the accounts, but citizens haven't accessed the money because of the guidelines and have a year already. When do projects get to be approved? And another question says, student applied but no money has been paid and the school calendar opened in January. What's the way forward?
Yeah, so for me, like I did mention, Miriam, I agree to all those concerns. Those are concerns as a result of where we're coming from, and also managing people's expectations. Indeed, one of the most challenging issues is the bursaries for the tertiary, like those who are going to college. The schools have got their own calendar, and
the bursaries are not yet out.
Yes, the bursaries are not out everywhere. In other places, they're out. In other places, they're out, like Mufurira. What
has any constituency been able to actually utilize its money?
Yes.
Or are the guidelines actually?
No. Don't
an example of a constituency which has used it.
I'll give you an example where Mwinyurunga MP, Mufurira MP.
And how did they access it so easily when others are struggling? What is the secret behind?
No, what matters also is the nature of a constituency, where information can easily flow. The people are enlightened. They can easily put things together. I'll give you an example. For me, for someone to come and apply, he has to travel 80 kilometers for ETSS. Where he is, there's no printer, there's no photocopy. He has to come to the central district. So, towns which are more urban, they could be very easy to galvanize. I'll give you an example. For Mufuria, they even have their own skill centers. For me, they need to come to Lusaka. They have to go to Kabwe, don't have a skill center. So that is the reason why you are seeing this difference. But let me demystify this myth that there is no constituency that has spent the money. They are spending the money. Money is being spent.
Honorable, you have a caller. Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Yes, you are through to the Camnet Breakfast Show. Kindly tell us your name, where you are calling us from, and you can give your contribution.
My name is Kapingaro. I'm calling you from Korea.
All right, you can go ahead with the contribution.
Thank you. First and foremost, I want to thank the Honorable Tuamo for the contribution, even for the life education. It's more like what the Honorable Kandu was speaking the previous day when he was hosted by Pastor Chilova. Now, on the CGF, yes, these other things are moving on well, like the grants, the bursaries, but the problem is on how to access the CDF funds. Part of the CDF funds, there is a component for women and the youth for the business and the cooperative. Up to now, Honorable, can you confirm if there are other groups or cooperatives that have accessed money for the CDF in connection with the cooperative, apart from the grants? Thank you.
The loans, you mean the loans, sir?
Yes, sir. Yes,
okay, okay.
Yes.
Okay.
All right, thank you very much for your call. Honorable, that's one thing which people have been talking about. For example, we had a story where some women said they are no longer going to apply for cooperatives because every time they keep taking them back, you're doing the wrong thing, not even giving them guidance, really. So people have actually given up, and people are expecting that UPND MPs, who are actually the majority in parliament, would actually vote for the motion to loosen CDF guidelines, being that CDF is meant for the local people.
No, again, let me just correct you. That motion you're talking about, it had nothing to do with the cooperatives.
Not cooperatives, but just guidelines in general.
Yeah, but you don't move a motion which is
okay, you can also respond to the
so
caller.
Let me respond to the caller. I'm excited that the caller is confirming that I gave you an example of Mufurira. So I don't come here to lie. He's confirming that in Mufurira there is progress. He's sure that the only process which has stalled is the process around the loans. Now, just like I told you, issues around due diligence. When you give a loan to someone, and do you know how much are these loans? They are not grants for 40,000 kwash. These loans are going over 100,000 kwash. So, indeed, I'll agree with everyone to say that the process has delayed. What government is doing now, they are finding modalities on where will these loans be accessed from. I'll give an example. If in Mufuria they've got Zanaco and Stanbic and EcoBank, in Itestezi, I only have Zanaco. In Mufumbwe, there's no bank. You get the point?
Yes.
Now, what government is trying to do is to put modalities on how that money will be accessed. Because that money, it also accrues a 5% interest. How shall that interest be paid back? What method, what modality shall be used to ensure that a mapping is done for the whole country to understand which bank exists in such a bank? Because you cannot give that money to a bank without even signing a complete MOU between government and that bank, or between government and that lender. And what type of what type of a lending institution exists in all these constituencies? So for me, indeed, this is 8 months. Like I give like I mentioned in the preamble.
It should be 9
months.
to 10. Yeah.
As I mentioned in the preamble, we all understand that government is a process. It's process. So it's something that I know that, yes, indeed, even me, I'm affected. I strongly feel those loans have delayed. But for me, I would be the most happiest person if I'm sure that when these loans are given, there's a very clear roadmap. There is a very good method how these loans will be given, how the monies will be got back, and how we trace the people that will get the loans, and ensure that we don't do business like usual. If it's where people can just get government money, they disappear, where things should just be in order. So I strongly feel the process should be hastened to ensure that the people access the loans. Moreover, the reason why the caller mentioned, these loans are the ones that involves men and the people who are above 35. For the youth funds and the women funds, they are for a very specific category. So for the men out there, they are left out, and they feel that for them to participate in CDF, they can only participate through these cooperatives, through these businesses, and the category where they fall, it's only the loans, which at the moment the government has not completed the process of drawing a roadmap on how these loans will be administered. Considering the fact that we don't have banks in everywhere, we don't have lending institutions everywhere, a method should be devised that will see to it that these monies are given to the right people, there's due diligence before the monies are given, and these interest, it will be pushed back into that institution, and because these are revolving funds for information. When it's pushed back, again it will be given to others. So that's a modality which is being devised now, which has not been completed. But I strongly agree that perhaps the delay is there. And I strongly feel that the ministry, yes, should accelerate the process, but not changing the guidelines, but just accelerating the process of ensuring that the modalities on how these loans will be given is put in place. I agree with you.
Okay, Honorable. So we've also had some sentiments from some PF members saying that maybe these funds are not available, and that's why UPND MPs, who are the majority, are making it difficult. And in connection with that, we actually have a comment here from one of our viewers who are saying this is not true. Maybe it's CDF, I don't know if it's CDF, is not real or something. So they're saying this is not true. UPND has just failed. Not everyone is known to the chiefs. What about those who used to live in Chipata but now stay in Solwezi, Northwestern Province, and other parts of the country who cannot access money? So I don't know your response.
So are you trying to
the viewers? First of all, starting with the allegations from the opposition.
Actually, last week, Antonio Mwanza, the PF media director, was saying UPND have connived to actually, first of all, they're saying the money is not there, and because of the majority, so now they're now conniving. Same with the teacher recruitment and
these are the tactics that you're
using. So that we keep pushing it and to next. So what's your response to the views that are out there?
No, you are. If I was given an opportunity, I was going to show the listeners a letter which shows the amount of money which is in the account. So you see, you don't believe in superstition. It's people like those that still believe in superstition.
But okay, at the end of this year, are we able to see each constituency use even 10% of the money? That's doable. Someone was confirming in Mfura that the children are in schools. Have they been given? Or they have been?
Yes, they've been given. They've started learning. Everything is moving on. For me, any day, most likely today, I'm getting the finalization of the projects and with the ministry. Once that is done, next week, for it to be a different story. So I don't think we can go back to superstition where people start believing that that money does not exist. Such kind of beliefs were common in PF. You get the point? Those were common in PF where there would be hearsays, where there would be money, things bought but they are not there. That was common in PF, and they still have that kind of mindset. For us, we are very honest. Why should we create a story claiming that there's money when there's no money? So, before I leave this studio, Paula, I will show you the confirmation of the amount of money.
Put it on the news to show that there's money. And
so the money, all the accounts have been given the money.
Yes.
But they have not, the accounts have not been given.
We have a caller. Hello, good morning. Hello. Good morning, sir.
Yes, morning.
Please tell us your name and where you're calling us from. Mr. Mwanza, it's good to know that Chilawongo is watching. Please go ahead with your contribution.
I want to say this very seriously, that at the most of the time would like to do what they have got for. They don't forget about it and other political leaders. Number two, that the time that the Lord has given them to do is very short. The last one. All the last political parties that have been have failed on all things: employment, education, health, even maybe we can talk about about food. Yes. Now, the issue we talking too much, we just expect other political parties to fail. I'm not a politician and I'll never be in government. I'm just a concerned citizen. Talking too much not to help. Let the UPND go flat and we bring the road. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you very much for your contribution. So, Honorable, in responding to the caller, maybe you can also respond to some sentiments. Like yesterday, we had a story where, like, concerned citizens and other stakeholders have actually been saying the roadmap right now does not indicate that Zambia's masses will be given employment, and people's hope is the CDF, but already the CDF is seen to be having hiccups. So, what is your response as a UPND MP as well as to the caller?
Yeah, thank you so much. I agree with the caller that every government has shortcomings. And I strongly believe that the UPND is not a holy government. It's a government that will also be judged at the right time. And it might not be able to deliver as expected by everyone. But certain portions, I'm sure they will be delivered. Certain portions will not be delivered. Just like me as a member of parliament, I will not promise heaven in it stays. I could do my portion and the other people will take it up and be able to deliver to where I will not do. But I will do everything to my level best with honesty, with a passion and with diligence to ensure that the sufferings which the people are going through, they are uplifted. So really for me, all his sentiments are very correct and they are meant to make us be better leaders. But for the CDF, I also, like I didn't mention earlier, I understand and I also believe that if it required just a button to turn things around, that could have been done. But I'm also considering the fact that due diligence should be done when you are spending public resources. And there are a lot of bureaucratic processes that the UPND government found in terms of administering of this CDF. CDF did not come today. All the systems people are saying they need to be changed. These are the systems that we found. And it requires a process to change them. You cannot change things at 90 degrees upon the assumption of office. Just the way we cannot change the date at 90 degrees turnaround. The same way that, I'll give you an example. The approval of tenders that are about 500,000 kwacha, they were being done at the province previous, but now they've now come back to the council secretary. Is that not loosening CDF? So there are a lot of other tender procedures that government is busy pushing them down. But the most important also when you push this down is, will there be accountability and transparency at local level? Because it's not just a matter of pushing down things. It's also ensuring that these resources, we guard them. It's very important. So there are a lot of other processes. I might not be very good at the accounting processes, but I want to mention that there are a lot of other signatures that were being done at a high level that are coming down. I'll give an example. The final approval of CDF project is being done by the minister. We all agree. We all agree, including myself, that it doesn't make sense. But we cannot immediately cut it off to say the minister. I can assure you, come next CDF quarter, I don't think it will be the minister to approve all the projects, the whole country to the minister. I don't think so. And the minister has made it very clear even in his submission that we are making a lot of changes. There are a lot of changes which are being made. One of the reasons why we are making these changes is also because of context. I'll give you an example. Tatsira Lunga has no boarding school in Chawam. But there is a lot of money for a boarding school. What does he do? I don't have a youth skills center, but I've got money to pay for people to go to youth skills center. So these are what we mean by context. You cannot look at things the same. But one thing I want to assure you is all the requests that we have made to change things, they've all been approved. There's no request that I've written as it says, asking to make certain changes that have been disallowed. For example, I don't have a youth skills center. I've got less than 42 applicants for skills center, for skills training. Look at that number. Meanwhile, Mufuri has over 300 plus. Why does Mufuri have 300 children who wants to go to tertiary education? It's because they have got colleges. Their mindset is about apprenticeship. They work in mines. They see the value of going to learn how to drive a grader and be employed. Them, they understand it already. But for me, they don't see the value. So I don't have a youth skill center. Only the 42 plus have applied. Elsewhere, there are 300 plus. But I don't have a youth skill center. So what I'm trying to propose myself, that's why I was saying these things can't be cast in stone. We are proposing that the amount of money, all this amount of money, where do we take it? Or else it will be underspent. We are proposing that this amount of money which is supposed to be meant for skills, since the interest is very low, we use it to construct a youth skills. Quickly, we construct a youth skills center this year in Itestes, so that come next year, the breastfeeding youths, those with children, the marketeers, they work during the day, they go and attend the youth skills center in the afternoon. The breadwinners, they will not come and camp in Lusaka. They will be going to the school center, then they're going to fend for their children, because the school center will be within their locality. So these are the context issues that we're talking about. Me, I only have one secondary school in Testes, and I can never have more than 100 children to be paid for. Where do I take the money? So we are proposing that part of the balance for the skills, we upgrade some rural weekly boarding schools into full-time boarding, so that those children who can't access education, who walk distances, they can also access bursary in those same localities. So these are some of the context issues, and the minister has been very open to say, when you have this context, right, and they are not objecting to some of these context-based requests we are asking to vary the amount of money. So the myth which is going on, which is being propagated by PF people like Antonio Mans, it should be demystified, because they still live in a world of fallacy, in a world of fantasy, in a world of deception, where someone will just wake up and say, I've bought these fire tenders at 1.4 million. Meanwhile, they were bought at a different amount. So gone are those days. We are now in realism. When the UPN government says we have no money for this, we don't have money. Look at the loans we are negotiating. The minister came to explain to everyone. That's disclosure. Everyone should be told what's happening. We don't need to live a life of a cosmetic life, where we want to please people now. Then we suffer. That's why we are in this situation as Zambians. We are the government that was believing in subsidies just to make the situation look cosmetic. But we are now, the effects, our children will feel them. So we need to be very realistic, very real to the people. No time for politicking. Tell people the truth, and the people judge. Some of the decisions are bitter pills to swallow for now, but they are meant to perfect our future. We should not be futuristic as a government. As leaders, we should be futuristic. I'll give you an example. I will not build the toilet there, I build the water point there, I build the clinic there. No. If I'm building a clinic, it should be a clinic. A house for the nurse, an incinerator, a water, electricity, and I'm done. That's how you solve people.
As we come to the conclusion of our program, do you think the current administration overpromised the people of Zambia?
I don't think so. I could make a judgment of that maybe if we were in half.
Oh, we actually have another
have a caller.
Hello, good morning.
Hello.
Yes, you're through to the Camnet breakfast show. You can give us your name, where you're calling us from, and you can give your contribution.
This is Thomas calling from Mafinga.
It's good to know that Mafinga is watching. Please go ahead with your contribution, sir.
Yes, thing that I want to say, just to confirm over the issue of bursaries for going children. Even here, those monies have been placed and paid for all the pupils. Then the other thing that I wanted to comment on is what the Honorable said. What is really everything is where we are coming from, like he mentioned. These things like the guidelines and the other things were not there. But now that these guidelines have been put in place and people are not given time to understand those things or how to go about everything, it's now delaying the dispensing now of these funds to the cooperatives and other people who are seeking for loans. So if not, it's not that it has already been done. If maybe this year, the process is the same, which was being done, and then as we prepare people, we educated people, then next year, that's when we would have gone into the issue of guidelines and the other things. Then comes and treats them to say, this money is not there. No, even because that has been politicized. So if you go to Parliament, look for our other very knowledge. Let him come and take people. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your contribution. And that has been another concern of alleged absentee MPs. We actually had some councillors last week who are saying it would be difficult to actually implement CDF with some MPs anyway.
We only see them when it's near the election period, but
yeah, I don't know. Some of the unnecessary, some of us we come from beautiful places, like it is. I'm happy being in it.
The last time, I'm sure your people called and they were actually praising you, isn't it?
Yes.
When they show that.
Because I love it more than I love Lusaka. What is in Lusaka here apart from poverty and congestion and pollution?
And garbage.
And garbage. Some of us, we love where I come from, and I would have been in Testes. If I was given a choice, I would stay in Testes and I would stay in Lusaka. That is where my people are. I would have built the people and feel what issues are affecting them. So thank you so much, the colleague who is calling from Maninga. So he's one of the champions of reality. He's demystifying PF lies, that there's no money. He's explaining that there's money. And he has given a very valid point that if people, if that was another way of thinking, if we wanted, we could have thought that we maintain what was happening. We use this 1 year to help people understand the processes. But with the way people want things to be done overnight, I don't think this could have also worked because people are anxious. Because of again where we're coming from, they are not seeing anything. So he has a very valid point, and thank you, sir, for demystifying lies that these monies, that he's calling from Maninga,
Mafinga district.
Everything is done. So I strongly feel that we're on the right trajectory, Zipporah, Miriam, and for me to say that UPND has failed in a space of 9 months, that's being overzealous and that's being unrealistic. I could judge myself or judge this government if we reached even just half. However, such kind of desires for immediate development, they are coming as a result of the anger, the appetite, the poverty that we are subjected, such that we want things to change. So UPND made the promises, and every development worker like me, you understand that development is a process. It's not abracadabra. It's a process that should be well thought, that should be well calculated, that should have certain instruments put in place so that you don't make mistakes. You need to plan. Everything is a process. I'm not saying this planning should go on forever. There are a lot of things that you have all seen for yourselves. There's a free education now. Right? People are no longer stealing anyhow. Social cash transfers, I speak now, on point. Last week, all the 100 and the plus districts, they got the social cash transfer. In the past, it was selective. CDF is now being got by all the constituencies. The equalization fund is being got by all the constituencies, all the schools. Even the schools were the same problem. I had 5 schools that were not given the first grant. But the process is being perfected. As I speak now, all my 102 schools in ITSS, the 5 that were omitted, all of them have been funded. So for me, the process is being perfected. Unless someone tells me that we are coming from a better situation, then things are worse. But if you know why you voted PF out, there was something wrong. And if you want to compare what was happening and what is happening now, I think if you are real, and if you are not speaking from the PF point of view, you are just somebody who is very sober in understanding things, who is genuine, who has no malice, who is looking at things from the realistic point of view, then you would agree with me that there are certain steps that are being done. But they are not moving as fast as one might want them because of the situation that we were left by someone. I've been hearing people arguing about the loan bailouts. You cannot talk about the loan bailout without talking about how did we find ourselves in that situation. So every time when you meet these politicians who are talking about the loan bailout, Zipporah, first of all, let them give you a preamble of where we're coming from. How did we find ourselves in a situation before we talk of how we get ourselves in that particular situation. Thank you so much, and it's been a pleasure talking to the two of you. I'm grateful.
Definitely. So that has been the stage member of Parliament, Honorable Mtinta Twambo, just helping us discuss the failed parliamentary motion to loosen CDF guidelines. And thank you also to our viewers, both from Facebook and the callers who actually contributed to the program. Miriam?
Yes, Zipporah, we wish we could go much and talk about this so that people will be able to understand exactly what the CDF is all about and get as much information as possible, because we continue to have these problems so far. But anyway, for me, myself, Miriam Kamba, and my colleague Zipporah Mshara, it's bye-bye and God bless you.